Good morning, children. Yeah, okay.
Good morning, all of you. Good morning, all of you. I could see only Nashra and Purneshwar. What about the remaining students? Can you all turn on your cameras? Shirisha, Sai Shashank, Sujanya, Sudakshana, Sai Manvir and Abhinay. Campaign study, right? Okay, students, just wait for a moment. Let me share the screen now. Shashank, can you see the slide? Class 9 English, Unit 6, the ham radio.
No, sir.
You can't see?
No, sir.
Okay, let me share it once again. Just wait for a moment. What about now?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, fine.
Sir.
Okay, students, class 9 English, Unit 6, the ham radio. So this is a C reading of your 5th unit. And the aim to enable the students to understand the disaster management system. You already know what is called a disaster. And one of the disaster management system, about one of the disaster management system that we are going to learn now. Already I have informed you all to gather a small resource that is an old radio. Just let me check if anyone has an old radio with you. If you have, just show me. No, no one has. Very good. Actually, this resource is not easily available now, isn't it? Nobody is using radios nowadays. So it is very hard to find a radio. Okay, that's not a problem. We are going to learn something about the ham radio. Okay, in case of our agenda, introduction, keywords, explanation, exercise, and homework. And we have some new words here. Let's go through the keywords of this lesson. Amateur. What do you mean by amateur? Someone who does a particular activity as a hobby, not as a job. Amateur photographers, you might have heard. Amateur photographers. So they take photos just as their hobby and not as a job. So amateur, it means a person or someone who does a particular activity as a hobby, not for earning money. not for earning money. So that's the most important thing. You have to remember this word. So this is a very common word in English. And the next word is innovation. You already know what is called innovation. In our school, always we introduce innovative ideas, isn't it? New ideas or fresh ideas. An action or process of innovating. Telecommunication. What do you mean by telecommunication? Communication over a distance. Communication over a distance by cable, telegraph, telephone, or broadcasting. So this is what is called the telecommunication. Communication over a distance by cable, telegraph, telephone, or broadcasting. And the next one is qualification. What is your qualification? Usually you ask, isn't it? Maybe you say I'm 10th class, I'm degree, I'm intermediate, I'm BTech, I'm MBBS, or so and so department. So this is also a common word, department. So the first word is amateur, which means someone who does a particular activity as a hobby, not as a job. Innovation, an action or process of innovating, finding a new thing. Telecommunication, in the sense, communication over a distance by cable, telegraph, telephone, or broadcasting. And the next word is qualification and department. So when you're learning the spelling, if you use the syllables, you will never ever forget it. Okay. So amateur, amateur. Innovation, innovation. Telecommunication, telecommunication. Qualification, department. Okay. I want Purnesha to go ahead with only the new words. I don't need the meanings. I don't need the meanings. Just spell out the new words and read it. Purnesha, I have sent you a message to unmute.
Yes, sir. AMATUTEUR, amateur. INNOVATION, innovation. TELECOMMUNICATION, telecommunication. QUALIFICATION, qualification. DEPARTMENT, department.
Okay, fine. Very good. So let's move on to the next slide. Just wait. Okay, so this is what is called a ham radio. And why do we use ham radio is what we are going to learn in this lesson. Okay. So before that, you can have a beautiful picture of a ham radio. And here you can see the setup of a ham radio as well. Observe all the things. Okay, shall we move on to the next slide? So the lesson is titled as the ham radio, and the summary of the lesson is given here. First, let me adjust the slide a little. Summary. There is no safety as disasters and terrorism can strike at any moment. So this is a common saying, isn't it? There is no safety as disasters or natural calamities like flood, earthquake, tsunami. So it can strike, or terrorism also. It can strike at any moment. We cannot predict when a disaster is going to occur. We cannot predict when terrorist attack is going to take place, isn't it? Yes, at that moment, we don't know what is happening and we don't know where to run as well. How can we save our lives is the biggest question at that moment. Are you will you be trying to save anybody's life? No. Frankly speaking, when there is a disaster or terrorist attack, you will be running for only your life. This is what is going to happen. Otherwise, you'll be going to your neighbor's house and telling them that you are in danger. Come out. We both will run away from this place. Usually, it doesn't take place, isn't it? You will be thinking only about your life, and you have to save your life. This is what comes to your mind when a disaster or terrorist attack occurs. So, an efficient disaster management system is needed to work in adverse conditions. So what we need, we already know that different parts of the world at present. At present, what is happening? There are tsunamis, there are floods, there are earthquakes. So our earth is in a very perishable situation now, very dangerous situation, especially in European nations, even in America. We have flood, earthquake, and tsunami at present. So European nations, many of the European nations, some of the nations, especially some of the big cities, were submerged in the sense under the water at present. So an efficient disaster management, when a disaster occurs, there should be some people, or we need to take the precautions early. After happening a disaster or terrorism, we cannot do anything. So before that, we have to forecast it. So no country is free at present. At any time, a disaster can occur, a terrorist attack can occur. So an efficient disaster management system is needed to work in adverse in the sense opposite conditions. Opposite conditions. In times of natural calamity, like floods, storms, or fire, the usual mode of communication like phone, mobile, and underground lines, etc., might not work. So you see, during a natural calamity, like floods, storms, or fire, so our usual mode of communication, maybe mobile phone, maybe underground lines, they stop working. If there is a power cut, you already know that when there is a flood, there would not be any power. If there is no power, does our mobile work? Our mobiles won't work. So during that situation, what comes to your mind? A ham radio. So a ham radio is very imperative at that circumstance, because when a natural calamity occurs, the usual mode of communication like phone, mobile, and underground lines will not be working. At that time, this is where ham radio comes into picture. This is where ham radio comes into picture. So when usual mode of communication is not working, what we can use? Ham radios can be used. Using ham radio, messages can be conveyed in the sense of messages can be sent to long distances. Ham radios are known for innovation and they can work in changed conditions, whatever the condition is. So we know that if a mobile phone or a phone, when it is dropped into water, will it work? It won't work. But in case of ham radio, there is no problem like that. You during adverse conditions, when a natural calamity occurs, you can use or you can send messages using ham radio to long distances. This is another important thing, to long distances. Ham radios are known for innovation. So this is known for innovation. So this is an innovative thing, isn't it? And they can work in changed conditions, whatever the adverse condition, whatever the opposite condition, whatever the situation, ham radio can be very useful. Amateur radio operators. So here, the most important thing, amateur radio operators. So these radio operators are not working to earn money. So they are using it as a hobby. Amateur radio operators have efficient working people experienced in improvising antennas and power sources, using antennas. Nowadays, you may not have any connection with antennas. In the past, our TVs, they have a very long pole, to grab the signals, Nowadays, Sun Direct and also a small antenna, a round shaped antenna is there. But in the past, especially if we need to get signals for our TVs, we used to keep a long pole. On the top of the pole, we used to keep some rods to grab the signals. But now you people don't know about that, because it is outdated. Not at all we are using at the present time. So here, amateur radio operators in the sense, if you want to work as a disaster management member, you will not be paid. you have to consider it as a service to the society, a service to the society. That is why it is mentioned here as amateur radio operators. They have efficient working people, experienced in improvising antennas and power sources. So these people, when a natural calamity occurs, when the mobile phone is not working, when the phone is not working, and nothing like underground lines are not working, they can operate ham radio and they can send messages to the different parts of our country to get help. They can use hundreds of frequencies and quickly establish networks. They can use hundreds of frequencies and quickly establish networks at the time of natural calamities. As I said, a lot of people will start calling their friends and someone. So the mobile network will be jammed and you will not be able to make a call. You will not be able to make a call. So when something happens at your home or in your village, everyone start taking their mobile phones and trying to get help from others. If everyone is taking the mobile at the same time, so the network will be jammed and you will not be able to make a call. Okay, so at that moment, what comes to help? The ham radios will come to help. So here they can use hundreds of frequencies and quickly establish networks. So when you start operating, you can immediately send messages to the destination at what to where you're to where you're sending the message. For this, the recent examples are the Gujarat earthquake. When the earthquake took place in Gujarat, these amateur radio operators, they helped them in a heavy manner. So when the earthquake started, immediately they passed messages to other parts of the countries and they used to receive help from there. At least they were able to convey the message quickly. In a disaster, what is the horrible thing? You are not able to pass the message to some other people to get or receive help. So it shouldn't happen. If there is an amateur radio operator in your area, he can easily send the messages very quickly and you will be getting help as early as possible. So not only in Gujarat earthquake, September 11 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. During that period also, they used to receive help as early as possible only because of the ham radio. Already I have showed you the picture. This is the picture or the system or setup of ham radio. Okay, let's move on to the next paragraph. If a person wants to become a radio amateur, if you want to render your service to the society without getting paid, if you want to be an amateur taking this work or action as a hobby, not as a job, he or she should have 12 years of age. If you have 12 years of age, you can become a radio amateur. He or she needs no educational qualification. To become a radio amateur, you don't need any educational qualification. So you don't need to pass 10th class for becoming a radio amateur. He or she should qualify a simple test conducted by the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. So you just need to pass a simple test. Simple test in the sense it is not so hard. So you must have basic communication skills. That's enough. And basic electronic skills. And at least you must learn how to read and write. So he or she should qualify a simple test conducted by, so this exam is being conducted or this test is being conducted by the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India. Okay, that's all about this lesson. So you need to understand what is called the ham radio. So this ham radio is not the usual radios you have at your home. In your usual radios, you can listen to songs, you can listen to some dramas or something. News, especially news. But ham radio is entirely different from what you think. Ham radio is used for conveying messages to the long distances, especially when something happens. Especially in our area, what happens is if it is a disaster free area, there also ham radio is very important. If a patient in your locality is bitten by a snake and you need to get a anti-venom injection or something from a long distance, you can simply pass the message to that area. So if that medicine is available there, immediately it will be brought to your village. So there are people to help you. If you in your area, if there is a radio operator who is amateur radio operator, you can ask his help. He will be passing this message. So around the world, people are there to help you, isn't it? Around the world, people are there to help you. So these amateur radio operators, they will be helping you in your necessity. So some people, they will not be having time to help you, but especially a radio amateur, especially he has taken this as a hobby to help the society, help the people. So in your area, if a person is in a very dangerous situation, he immediately wants medical attention or something, you can send a message to the radio amateur who is in the city. He will be getting you the help, the necessary things will be done. So this is only not only in case of floods, storms, or any other natural calamities. Such sort of help also being rendered by the ham radio operators at present. Okay, so we have 3 questions here. Name some natural calamities. So already it is there in our lesson. So here, Sharanya, can you find out some of the natural calamities mentioned in the first paragraph?
Floods, storms, or fire accidents.
Flood, storms, or fire. Can you mention 2 more? Your own.
Tsunamis.
Pardon?
Tsunami.
Tsunami is a natural disaster. Okay, fine. Very good. Okay. Next, let me ask. Okay, here Sai Manvid is ready to answer. Sai Manvid.
Sir, hurricanes, tornadoes.
Hurricanes, tornadoes. Okay, fine. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, read the second question. When does ham radio come into picture? So the answer is already there in the first paragraph. Search for it and find out and tell me. So your question is once again, when does ham radio come into picture?
There is no safety as this. Sir, question not understood.
When does ham radio come into picture?
Does ham radio come into picture?
Okay, just wait. Let me ask one another student then. Purneshwar is ready, I think. Purneshwar?
Sir, the AM radio come to picture when there is disasters and terrorist attacks.
Okay. So see here, first paragraph, you observe clearly. This is why I told you to understand the concept. Okay, Nashra is ready to answer. Nashra, let's ask Nashra's help. Yes, Nashra.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Go ahead with the answer.
Sir, when mobiles won't work while the disasters, at the time we can use the ham radio to text.
Okay, fine. In times of natural calamity like floods, storms, or fire, the usual mode of communication like phone, mobile, and underground lines, etc., might not work. This is where the ham radio comes into the picture. Got it? Okay, that's it. And one more, using dash messages can be conveyed to long distances. Using dash messages can be conveyed to long distances.
Ham radio.
Ham radio. Srinidhi, got it? Ham radio. So these answers are very simple answers. Name some natural calamities in the sense you can say flood, earthquake, tornado, storm. When does ham radio come into picture? Ham radio comes into the picture when there is a flood or when there is a natural calamity and when our usual mode of telecommunication is not working, then ham radio comes into the picture. And the last question is using dash messages can be conveyed to long distances. Using ham radio messages can be conveyed to long distances. So dear students, don't forget this is your homework. You can easily write the answers. So what's your homework? Worksheet 6, task 3. Answer the following. Okay. And let me check the time. We have more 10 minutes. So we will be going ahead with reading the paragraph. Srinidhi, first paragraph.
There is no safety as disasters and terrorism can strike at any moment. So an efficient disaster management system is needed to work in adverse conditions. In times of natural calamity like floods, storms, or fire, the usual mode of communication like phone, mobile, and underground lines, etc., might not work. This is where ham radio comes into the picture. Using ham radio, messages can be conveyed to the long distances. Ham radios are known for invention and they
It's
can
not
work
invention, innovation.
innovation and they can work in change conditions.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, let me Simon with Abhinay said the answer and you can read the paragraph. Both can be happy then.
Amateur radio operators have efficient working people experienced in improvising antennas and power sources. They can use hundreds of frequencies and quickly establish networks. For this, the recent examples are the Gujarat earthquake, September 11th, 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center, etc.
World Trade Center, etc. Okay, fine, very good. Mute yourself. Again, Sharanya, last paragraph.
If a person wants to become a radio amateur, he or she would have 12 years of age. He or she needs to know educational qualification. He or she should qualify a simple test conducted by the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India.
Okay, Nirati Sujanya, first paragraph. Sujanya. Nashra, did you read? No, first paragraph. So I have to ask the students again and again because most of the students have not turned on their cameras.
There is no safety as disasters and terrorism can strike at any moment. So an efficient disaster management system is needed to work in adverse conditions. In times of natural calamity like floods, storms, or fire, the usual mode of communication like phone, mobile, and underground lines, etc., might not work. This is where ham radio comes into picture. Using ham radio, message can be conveyed to long distance. Ham radios are known as innovation and they can work in changed condition.
Okay, very good, very good. Purneshwar?
Yes, sir. Amateur radio operators have efficient working people experienced in improvising antennas and power sources.
Improvising antennas and power sources.
Improvising antennas and power sources. They can use hundreds of frequencies and quickly establish networks. For this, the recent example are the Gujarat earthquake, September 11, 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center, etc.
Okay, fine. Srenika. Srenika.
If a
Continue.
person wants to become a radio amateur, he or she should have 12 years of age. He or she needs to education qualification. He or she should qualify a simple test conducted by the Department of Telecommunications, Government of India.
Government of India. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, students, let me stop share. Before that, how many of you have done the homework that I gave you in the previous class? Just raise your hands. Previous class homeworks, I told you to write some questions and answers. So students, don't forget to buy your worksheet from school. So if you do not have worksheet, how you are going to learn? Anyhow, within 2 or 3 weeks, the school will be reopened and you have to come back to the school. We will be checking your worksheet. So it will create a lot of problem if you don't complete your worksheet. Anyhow, the students, those who are not attending the classes will be missing their sessions. We are not going to teach this concept once again. You are the people, those who gain from our online classes. So you should never stop learning. If there is a gap, so you will be missing a lot of things. That is what I have to say. Okay. Okay. Let me stop sharing. Okay, students, don't forget that most of the students, already we have informed that you have to attend the classes in uniform. You have to wear the uniform. Okay. Purneshwar, do you have uniform? Yes. Tomorrow when you attend the class, you have to be in full uniform. So this is must. Yes. Okay. And as I said you earlier, you have to read at least 2 or 3 paragraphs. 2 or 3 paragraphs every day to improve your reading skills. If you don't read paragraphs, what is going to happen? Your reading skills will be down. If you read paragraphs, you can make or you can create beautiful sentences as well. Only through reading, you can learn a lot of things. Okay, students, that's all for today. And I'm going to wind up this session now. We will be meeting you in the next session. So you have to attend, and moreover, you have to inform your friends as well. Say we have very less participants today. I don't know what the remaining students are doing at home. Ask everybody to join the class. We have got 7 or 8 participants today. In the sense, it is very horrible. They are not giving importance to learn something. So it shouldn't happen. Once again, I request everybody to call your friends and inform that the classes are running and they must attend the class. Okay, fine. Thank you all. Have a great day.